Everyone.
Morning.
Morning, guys.
Al Branch. Good morning. Live and in person. Haven't seen you in a while. Okay, so this is the regular meeting of the Town of New Canaan Board of Selectmen, Tuesday, November 17th at 8:30 a.m. This is a virtual meeting on channel 79 and Zoom. Before we get started, Nick and Kathleen, we have two items to add to the agenda. One is a community testing contract, which I signed last week on an emergency basis, and the other is a granite curbing contract, which Tiger just sent up. So I move that we amend the agenda to add these two items.
Second here.
All in favor? Okay. So the first item on the agenda is the minutes from the last meeting on November 2nd. Any comments, corrections on the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? I'll move to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Minutes are approved. Public comments. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments to the Board of Selectmen on agenda topics scheduled for review and/or vote. Comments should be submitted by email to bosdistribution@buchananct.gov, and Tucker will watch for comments and we'll read them in the course of the meeting if there any are received. So since the next item on the agenda is the prior week's community testing contract, we'll take up the second one as well. As you know, we've been doing community testing since we're doing our third Friday this week. We did 535 students and teachers at the high school and Saks. That was paid for by the Board of Education. Last Friday we had about almost 350 tested for, and because we need to do this testing, I had to sign the contracts on an emergency basis. So last week cost us about $31,000, and $21,000 of that was paid by residents. The balance was employees of the town, first responders, volunteers from the fire department, and some teachers. And then we're going to do another round of testing, community testing this Friday. We're already sold out for the almost 500 slots we have. We're looking to get an additional few hundred slots. And I don't have the breakdown yet as to how many people are registered that are residents versus employees, but we're working on that. So anyway, any questions about these contracts?
You're happy with the program, this position one?
They're very efficient.
Yeah.
They get their test results back to us very quickly, and they, the $90 is really a bargain compared to what is available out there. We have been in touch with the governor's office as to why we can't get free testing like the cities are getting, and they tell us, well, our residents can go to Stamford and Norwalk to get free testing, and the health department is bringing up Norwalk Unity Health Center, or whatever it's called, to do testing next Monday at both schoolhouse apartments and the Millport apartments, but that testing is not available for free to residents otherwise.
Kevin, do you think that the $90 fee is putting a damper on testing? I mean, if you got a family of 5, that's almost $500 to get tested. And, we're in an affluent community, but not everybody's affluent. And so I'm just wondering, I know I saw some emails back and forth about potentially getting money from FEMA ultimately that could perhaps cover some or all of that $90 fee.
Well, the testing is voluntary. As we've seen, we've had.
But we want as many people to test as much as possible, because that's going to amplify the ability to contact trace.
Well, but with 535 people tested and we had 0 positives, and last week was only 4 who were residents. I think we're showing that the incidence of the virus in town is relatively low, but the actual cases being reported to the state, which indicate it's rising. So the purpose of this testing is to find asymptomatic people. The insurance companies will no longer pay for asymptomatic testing, and therefore the benefit of this program is to help the whole community by identifying asymptomatic people. Anybody who's symptomatic can get tested at a hospital, at CVS, Walgreens. So there's plenty of testing around for symptomatic people, and they should go to get tested immediately.
And there's free, to be clear, there's free testing for asymptomatic people outside of New Canaan.
Correct. You want to stand in line in Norwalk or Stanford. So, and we're also.
So I get back to my original question. Does the health department believe that the $90 fee is putting a damper on folks coming out to get tested who are asymptomatic and want to stay in New Canaan and not have to go to Norwalk or Stanford?
Yeah. Nick, I think the fact that we're almost sold out with 500 slots indicates that it's not putting a damper on. I think last week was a rushed session to get it up and running, but we will, people have asked about college kids coming home and getting tested. We will have that available. We're looking to lock down the dates today. And we're also looking at standing up. Well, that's all I'll say for now.
Kevin, if I may, Tom O'Day is asking to say something regarding testing.
Who?
I'm sorry, can I speak, Kevin?
Sure, go ahead, Thompson.
Nick, so the governor has now set out guidance. He wants college students to test before they come home and then quarantine for 14 days and test halfway through that 14-day quarantine away from family members before ending their 14-day quarantine. So from a practical standpoint, I don't know how much the compliance is going to be with that. I'm going to try with 2 college kids coming home for Thanksgiving. The one we're telling my oldest to stay out in Utah. This is just not going to work. So my daughter, we're picking up. We're going to pick up, but now I got to figure that out. But just so you know, the governor's guidance requires testing before college kids come home. And then once they get home, they have to quarantine away from family for 14 days. And they want testing halfway through that. So whatever testing we can get is a great thing. So I commend you, all 3 of you, for getting this done. But I'll tell you, we're going to have to publicize these college kids are supposed to quarantine for 14 days and test halfway through that. So whatever we can do to get that out. And I greatly appreciate all of your hard work, all 3 of you. And I've got to figure this out because this is going to be very hard to comply with.
Okay, thanks, Tom. So, Nick, the other thing about FEMA is that we have not received 1 nickel from the federal government funds from the almost $2 million we've put in for. So, again, the purpose of this testing is to help the overall community identify asymptomatic people. We can't test 10,000 people all at the same time, but we're engaged in this program and we're going to have more testing. And so I think it's a good thing we're doing, and we're going to continue to do it.
Is there a means test, Kevin, with respect, is there an exemption for people who want to get tested, they're asymptomatic in town, but are lacking the funds to do so?
I think all the people, that's why they're going to Millport and schoolhouse apartments. Those are the some people in town who are means qualified. Otherwise, the average family in New Canaan, $90, even for a family of 5, it's not a hardship, in my view.
Just to follow up on what Tom has just shared with us, I don't know if we have an estimate of how many college kids are going to be coming back to New Canaan, but perhaps that ought to be factored into the capacity numbers that we might be considering over the next, say, 2 to 3 weeks.
We're going to take as much as we can get, Kathleen.
Is 500 the capacity? That's all they would give us?
No, we're trying to get 750 for Friday now that we've gotten to 500 for this week. So we're going to get as much as they'll give us. Physician one was doing Sacred Heart University testing, so now that they're standing down for Thanksgiving,
Right.
I'm sure we'll be able to get the capacity we need.
Okay. Thank you.
So, and I'll probably sign another contract in the next couple of days for next week's testing. So I move we approve these two contracts that I've signed on an emergency basis with physician one for the November 13th test and the others for this Friday's November 20th testing. The contracts are on your tablet. Do I have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Next item is an appointment to our Tourism and Economic Development Advisory Committee. Tucker knows Dan Mulhern well. I don't know Dan myself, but I see he's had a history of being involved in downtown New Canaan. Tucker, do you want to make a comment about Dan since
Sure.
the committee?
Dan has lived in New Canaan, I think most of his family life. He's been very, very involved in the downtown. He's had a long career in retail, most recently at Vineyard Vines, but did own a store down on Forest Street, M Milestones, which was very successful. Has a daughter that teaches over at South School. At any rate, when I moved over to the chamber, he was part of the Village Association, and he was critical to getting us up and going, and always has great ideas, and has found himself at a point in time now where he's got some free time on his hands, and had asked if he could join the group and help us. Excuse me. And we do in fact have an opening, so I think he would be a perfect candidate to help move the Tourism and Economic Development Advisory Committee forward.
And that reminds me, we haven't heard from the TDEC committee in a while. So Tucker, maybe in the next couple of meetings, we could have a report from TDEC.
Sure.
They've been doing some great things, and especially, the Live New Canaan Realtors project that I think has really paid dividends. It was very timely to have that campaign going on in New York City. And we got our share, as reported in the New York Times, or the post of the New York Times, about the number of families who have chosen New Canaan.
Yeah, we made the top 20.
Yeah.
I just say Dan, I've known Dan for years. He's a terrific guy. His store, and Whitney and I lived in his store when it was open. It was a great store. I think he's a terrific addition to TDEC.
So I move we approve the appointment of Dan P. Mulhern to the Tourism and Economic Development Advisory Committee for a term to expire December 21. Second. Give me a second.
Second here.
Nick seconds. Further discussion? All in favor? Okay, welcome aboard. This building lighting project. Who's doing this, Tiger?
I will be doing it. Bill is recovering from surgery. So this is for the contract with Efficient Lighting and Maintenance, EL&M, to upgrade the lighting at the Ambulance Corps building. It's actually in conjunction with Eversource as part of the Connecticut Energy Efficiency Fund program. We've used this in other locations in town hall, highway department, and other locations. It's a contract for $14,102.66 with a contingency of 5% or $705. We're getting an energy incentive from Eversource for a credit for $6,346.20 for a total cost of $8461.46. Eversource does through these projects give us a 0% interest loan for up to 48 months. And we basically pay it back on our bill. So we won't see an upcharge. We'll see savings, and then we'll pay through our bill. The project payback is about 24 months. So about 24 months will be fully vetted and starting to truly save money.
Questions for Tiger?
None here.
I move we approve the request from Public Works to enter into a contract with Efficient Lighting and Maintenance for $8,461.46, as Tiger described, to install energy light fixtures at the Ambulance Corps building. Who actually owns the building, Tiger?
Ambulance Corps?
Does the town own the building?
It's an interesting question. I think it's a town-owned building. I'm not quite certain. It's a great question. I know they built it with town funds. I think it's ours. Or it might come to us if they go defunct. I think it might be the agreement.
Is it one of our 56?
It's considered one of our 57, yes.
I'll second.
Further discussion?
Not here.
All in favor? Whoever owns the building has new lighting.
It's terrible.
Next item is
Thank you.
a couple of transfer station items. One is for plumbing, one is for site work.
Correct. This is for the new scale house that'll be going in. It's last Board of Selectmen meeting approved a contract to purchase the modular building itself. It's being fabricated now. And this work is for site work and for utilities, plumbing, water, sewer. So we have a contract with Modern Plumbing and Heating for $84.45 to install the new plumbing services. This will be in conjunction with the second item there, which is with Hussey Brothers for $17,000 and change for the site work itself. So Hussey will be digging the trenches and working with Modern, and Modern will be installing the services themselves. So I don't know if you want to tackle both at one time or.
Sure, go ahead. Any questions? There's a series of small contracts also on our tablets in order to get the transfer station building up and running.
In this regard, the town is acting as the general contractor to save money. So that's why you're seeing several projects throughout. If we had gone with one large contractor, he would be handling all these subcontracts. Since we're the general contractor, we're handling all the subcontracting throughout.
When does the building actually arrive?
About 12 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
We've moved the existing building across, and we're prepared now. We're going to have to prepare the existing site, and we want to do that before winter, and then we'll just wait for the building to come in and we'll drop it in place.
Yes, Kathleen.
Tiger, you and I talked about this yesterday, but maybe if we could see a whole report of the full cost of this project, that'd be great. So even the items that are in the Vanguard modular changes that we see maybe at our next meeting, just an entire cost, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll give you a breakdown of each one. The overall cost that when we went to the Board of Finance for a new project was $173,810. We added a $20,000 contingency for $193,913. And then we had $194,000 project itself. So, but I will put together an entire tabulation so you can see it. So, you won't be confused as we go forward.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nick, any questions?
No.
Well, let's vote on these together. Item 6 and item 7 are one. 6 is the plumbing contract with Modern Plumbing and Heating for $9,712. And the other one is a contract with Hussey Brothers for $19,838 to install the sewer, gas, and water piping to the new building. Do I have a motion to approve both items?
So moved.
Nick, second. Kathleen, all in favor?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's stick the granite curbing in here now. Granite curbing is a item we need in order to complete the River Street project. Tiger, do you want to address that?
Certainly. Thank you. Thank you for adding it. I received this quote late yesterday. We had been going back and forth with the supplier as far as what was required, and to fabricate granite for a certain radius takes some time. So this is a contract with North Carolina Granite. We've used them in the past for a very long period of time, and then they just started getting outbid by William Stone only to distance traveled. So basically it's coming from North Carolina versus Williams was coming out of Massachusetts. The quote itself is for $19,861.68. It'll take care of all the granite that's required for River Street itself. I did reach out to Williams over the past 2 bids, but Williams had an issue with the coronavirus where their fabricating crew was sick, so they lost 6 weeks of time, and they're no longer taking any requests for materials or filling any requests for the rest of the year. North Carolina, to their credit, did not increase their pricing at all and actually took out the light load for us. So took out the fuel surcharge for this to make it equitable as previously bid. So I thank them for that. So we're asking for a $19,861.68 purchase for granite for the River Street 2020 project. The granite will be delivered in 2 loads Thursday and Friday this week if we say yes today.
And if we say no?
If we say no, then I'm struggling. I'll be struggling at that point.
Questions about the granite? Go ahead, Kathleen.
The curbing, is that the last of it? So you put up the pavement for what we voted on, I guess, 1 or 2 meetings ago, and this is the last of it, and the project will be finished through by the end of the month or end of the year?
Yes, yeah. We typically bring the 2 contracts together, but we had been going back and forth so we brought we had to bring the one and then the second. Normally I'd bring the paving and it would actually be embedded in that request. But we just, since we had a back and forth with the suppliers, it took a little bit longer.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would mention that Tiger liked the governor's quarantining. So
I liked the governor's quarantining.
yeah, the governor's quarantining. You're in good company.
Oh, if the governor, yes, that's correct. Sorry. Well, being forced to be at home is totally different than, it's not as much fun. How about that?
Okay, so we need to vote on the granite contract. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion?
On
Should
here.
we approve it? Should we approve this? I don't know what's going to happen with the project if we don't approve it.
You're gonna make me struggle, though. Please don't make me struggle.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, now I figured out why Tom O'Day's on the call, but first we got to get through the Waveney Water Tower access parking lot. Tiger?
Maria's gonna take this for you.
Good morning. As part of the town's pavement management and improvement program, also known as the PMIP, back in August, the Board of Selectmen approved an extension of the contract with FGB for the construction of an access drive from the New Canaan High School parking lots along the Water Tower access drive to Waveney Road. Contract extension of the PMIP contract with FGB was prudent and cost effective at the time, and FGB did a great job, and the drive has been actively used for close to 3 months now. The second phase of the project is the adjacent parking lot at the playfields, which would have been constructed at the time of the drive, but the town was still awaiting approval from Tennessee Gas, which we have since been granted. The parking lot will formalize a currently haphazard and inefficient parking lot and would provide 72 parking spaces, 4 of which would be accessible parking spaces. FGB proposes to finalize the work at the parking lot, including curbing and drainage, for $403,355.90 plus a 15% contingency of $60,503.39, totaling $463,859.29 for the parking area. FGB is the contractor of record for the wetlands permit that's currently open. They did an excellent job on the drive and are doing an excellent job on current projects. They've also installed a significant portion of the drainage for the proposed parking lot as it was associated with the access drive. And therefore we recommend that the contract be awarded to FGB for $403,355 plus a 15% contingency of $60,503, totaling $463,859.29 for the parking area. The funds are currently available in the PMIP.
Thank you, Maria.
Thanks.
So I would note that, this is part of a number of projects we're doing around Waveney in conjunction with, this parking lot, as most people who have ever been in it, it is kind of a disaster. It was a disaster for the summer theater when they operated there. And, but now with the new turf fields and the fact that the junior water tank is coming down by the end of December, we're looking to beautify that area. And I don't know if you've been over to see the front of the Waveney Mansion, but the work that the Waveney Park Conservancy just did is awesome. So I think I'm pleased to be able to move forward with this project, which it took forever for the Tennessee Gas Pipeline Company to approve it. But
True.
Well, I can see why, because if you look at from above, you look down on a photograph of Waverly, you can actually see under the grass the pipeline cutting across Waverly, which presumably is going to go underneath, Maria, the parking lot. It already goes underneath the drive, but a large
Correct.
portion of that, yeah, right.
Correct. And that's
So-
why they had to approve it. I mean, currently, right now, there is vehicular access, there's parking in that area. That's not the concern. It's just that Tennessee Gas has to approve basically any permanent surface on top of their main.
And do they monitor it for safety reasons? as
Yes.
part of the
So-
construction? Yeah.
Yes, so we actually, as part of our approval, have to have someone from Tennessee Gas on site during the entire construction in that area.
Good.
And that's within 15 feet of either way of the pipe.
Right.
Previous to this work, Nick, we actually, back in around 2008, 2007, we dug up the entire pipeline through this area, rebedded it. They coated it, rebedded it, and then put in some anodes that actually take away some of the ions that actually would degrade the pipe itself. So it had been inspected at that time in anticipation of this work. This work took a little bit longer than anticipated, but we did
How
that at
deep
that
is
time.
How deep is the pipe?
It'll be at least 5 feet deep.
Right. Currently, it's about 3.5 feet. And at least at the drive, it was around 3.5 feet. And the minimum is 5 feet of cover when you're putting new pavement down.
Right.
At the parking lot is a little bit more depth. So we have our existing today, we have closer to 4.5 feet.
Well, all I can say is, hallelujah. to call this haphazard and inefficient is an understatement, but it's a great project, and it's really Waveney is coming together in a way that we've never seen before. So this is great.
Great.
Thank you.
Kathleen?
Maria, the 72 slots, are those, how many slots do we have now? Are we expanding what we have in terms of?
Yes, because like I said, it is inefficient for sure. I mean, it's a gravel lot, so there's really no striping. There's no way to actually count the
Right.
actual count. But I would imagine that on any given day, when you're trying to pack people in there, it depends on the first few people that park
Sure.
and how you build upon that. So you're definitely going to gain a lot more efficiency. And we're also providing 4 accessible parking spaces with ped ramps, et cetera. So it provides means for everyone.
So is the primary usage then for sports, or is it also space that be used by the high school? What is the plan? How is it used now, and what's the plan going forward?
Primarily sports. Primarily sports.
Sports.
I don't know whether the superintendent wants to allow high school use of it for school, but they're very happy with the roadway that has really improved the efficiency of.
Having used that parking lot over the years, coaching and such, I think we're picking up a lot of spots. I mean, I can remember maybe being, if there are 15 or 20 cars up there, it was kind of a nightmare. And now that we've got striping, and I mean, 72 spots is terrific. And I think not only can you use it for sports, but if you don't want to go to the upper lot where everybody parks and sometimes really crowded on a Saturday or a Sunday, you can just duck down into this new lot and you can still walk around the trails. So this is great development.
Right. And 4 of the spots of the 72 are to be ultimately for coaches. So when it gets to that point.
Really?
Adjacent to the softball field, there's a sleigh pull off. The coaches were already pulling up onto the grass next to the dugouts, so we felt it would be prudent to give them a couple just right next to the softball field for their use.
It's great.
They're used for anyone, but at the around a softball game, that would be reserved for the coaches.
So are we in the discussion phase, or was the motion made? I forget.
No motion yet.
Thank you. Any further questions for Tiger?
Not here.
I move we approve the request from Public Works to enter into a contract with FGB Construction for 463-859-29 for the Waveney Water Tower Access Road Parking Area. Do I have a second?
Second.
Kathleen, further discussion? All in favor? Okay,
Thank you very much.
now we get to the Tom O'Day project, which, Tom, are you coming back on?
Here he is.
I had no idea why you were on this morning.
Well, I will say, I think I gotta do this more frequently. So it's great finding out all the work that you're all doing on a regular basis. So I'm gonna try and do this more frequently. Sorry that I haven't done it sooner.
Like, you're not busy enough, Tom. Okay, Tom, back in the springtime, we put down, these are funds that were raised actually by Tom and others many years ago for a ice rink project, actually at Waveney, I guess, probably right across the, and so there were $7,500 put down as a deposit for the purchase of equipment, used equipment.
Yes.
And this is a balance of $2,500 in the ice rink special project fund. And Tom can kind of describe what he did in the past week in terms of purchasing equipment with donated funds.
Yes. So obviously I can go into more detail if need be, but back in 2006, I was coaching basketball and one of my players in 4th grade came in full hockey gear at 8 o'clock in the morning, Scott Webster's son. And I said, Scott, I think you're lost. This is basketball, not hockey. And he said, no, we're just getting back from practice at 5 o'clock up in Shelton or North Haven somewhere. And so I don't skate. My kids don't skate. But back then I figured that's crazy. So we we formed a group, New Canaan Rink Inc., nonprofit. And we raised, I think, somewhere between $20,000 and $50,000. We did some site plans. We tried to build an indoor rink in Waveney. 08 happened. Things kind of blew up, and so we had a balance of $10,000 left in that New Canaan Rink Inc. fund. We transferred that over to the town, shut down the nonprofit, and with the hopes of utilizing it for a rink at some time in the future. Well, the rink now, an opportunity came up to purchase used equipment from the Fairfield County Hunt Club. And we had an option to buy, as Kevin had mentioned. We put down $7,500 of the $10,000 on that option to buy. So $42,500 was left to purchase that equipment at a steep discount. That equipment new would have been somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000. And the Fairfield County Hunt Club had a backup offer for cash of more than what we had, but they agreed to honor our right of first refusal or option if we could raise the money by Friday the 13th. No pun intended. So I was able to raise the $42,500 by Friday. We purchased the equipment, and now this $2,500 will go towards moving the equipment from the Fairfield County Hunt Club to somewhere to be stored. Obviously, we're looking to put the rink somewhere in New Canaan. It's a mini rink. It's 120 by 60, so it's not a full NHL size rink, which is 230 by 80. So this is roughly a little more than half the size. But it's the mini mites, I guess, program for little kids. It's the perfect size for them. And there's a need for it. The Winter Club is in support of the project. The New Canaan High School hockey teams, both boys and girls, are in favor of the project because they can use it for skills. And open skate. And so our goal is to have a self-sufficient, no debt ice rink somewhere in town. It's for the benefit of the community. So, and the ironic or the neat thing about the fundraising, 99% of the monies raised were from non-skating families, or 90%. The vast majority were friends of mine who thought a community rink would be a good idea. Their kids are either out of the house and gone, or they don't skate. So I think it's a great opportunity and would appreciate the town giving back the 2,500 so that we can move and store the rink. We haven't decided where. I'm sure one of the questions is going to be, where are you going to put it? Some of the places we've looked at are Kiwanis. There's a couple places in Kiwanis. There are 5 or 6 places at Waveney that we've looked at. And there are a couple places in Mead and at Irwin. We've looked at, we obviously haven't made any decisions. It's up to Parks and Rec and the town bodies to decide where they want us to put it.
Okay, so the narrow question we're focusing on is approving the release of $2,500, which was actually donated funds in the beginning to complete the purchase of to help the purchase of this equipment. Even though it's not clear to me really who's buying it, since there's no 501c3 anymore. It's not clear to me who.
Kevin, I would assume that the rink would be town owned.
Well, I don't know, Tom.
Well, no, the idea would be that it's so the New Canaan Athletic Foundation allowed us. We've got New Canaan New Canaan Ice Inc. is a nonprofit state registered entity. We haven't gotten our 501c3 yet, but we are registered with the state. My understanding, similar to how we were going to handle the rink before, would be it would be owned by a nonprofit, and then it would be placed on town property. We theoretically could rent the property for a nominal amount a year, or we would allow the town to utilize the rink that we own, so that a nonprofit would own it. Similar to the town pool, I mean, we could allow the town to own it. It's whatever however the town wants us to utilize or own the rink is fine by us. It would be there would be no cost to the town for any of the cost of operation or cost of purchase. Obviously, we've already paid for that. So there would be no cost to the taxpayer. So however the town wants us to handle the ownership, whether you want us to have it, donate it to the town, or have us run it, and whatever the town wants, we'll do.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I think we could figure that out. By the way, I'm in favor of this. I think, Tom, just to be clear, the original rink was supposed to be an indoor rink west of Waveney in the mulch field, right? And so you guys had anticipated a much bigger spend, and then this opportunity, when you had this money that just kind of lying around, and it's been that special fund for a number of years, and then just luckily this opportunity came up to purchase this outdoor rink. I think it's a great idea, very supportive. I guess you guys will figure out where to put it, and that'll be a Parks and Rec decision initially, and then we'll come to us. One thing I would just ask you about is a few things more valuable in life than rink time, which is why you got 7-year-olds getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go practice. So in terms of who determines whether it's open, whether the high school teams on the rink or mini mites or open skate, would that be the fields committee? Because the fields committee apportions all of the fields in use. So that's John Howe and Steve and Jay Egan.
I would be amenable to that. What we haven't, that's whatever the town wants us to do with regard to allocation of time. We anticipate the Winter Club and the high school parents of skaters to be donors for the next round of fundraising. So, whatever the town wants us to do, we're fine with, as far as allocating the time on the ice and open skate.
Kathleen?
Thanks, Tom. It is a great project. I just wondered, what consideration are you giving to the sort of the annual cost of running this, including insurance, ice cleaning, Zamboni kinds of things, and the timing? Is this going to be a project that would start by year end, or is it going to be next winter? What are your thoughts?
Sure. So to answer them kind of in order, the costs, the idea is to have it open December, January, February, which is what the Hunt Club does now with it. And for those 3 months, it costs roughly $13,000 in electricity. So, roughly $4,000 a month in electricity. And then the Zamboni, they actually have one that attaches to a tractor. My understanding and looking at the back behind the water tower there, it looks like there's a couple tractors that we might be able to utilize in the winter. So the annual costs to operate for the 3 months that it would be open, I wouldn't anticipate being more than $25,000 to $30,000. That being said, the idea would be that we would raise all that money for the next 2 to 3 years in advance. So let's call it 30,000 to operate, and then we raise that for 3 years. That's 90,000. The site cost itself would depend on what site we pick. For example, one of the areas we looked at was up in front of the paddle hut, where you've got the paddle hut, you've got indoor facilities there. You're next to the dog park. Keith Simpson thought that the leveling of that area in the front there would be about $10,000-$15,000, but the running of the electricity, which we're finding out how much it would cost, could be anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000. So depending on where we site it, the biggest cost we're looking at now for the siting is the electrical, running the electrical, because it's not a standard plug it in 220, 221, as they said, and Mr. Mom, kind of an idea. It's a very large electrical output needed. So the idea would be to raise enough money to cover the operational costs for a couple years at least, maybe 3, so that at the end of that time period, if the town decides, you know what, Tom, good try, there just wasn't a need for it, go ahead and resell the equipment. We could, I believe in 2 to 3 years, we could sell the equipment for more than what we paid for it, based on what my understanding is. There's a fairly large market for outdoor rinks this size throughout the country. In fact, the Hunt Club, the person who wanted the rink, if we didn't take it, was going to ship it out to Colorado. So I'm fairly confident that even if we, after 2 to 3 years, the town decides, this didn't work, there wasn't a need, we can get rid of it, and there's no cost to the town. So your question as to whether or not it would be this year or next, it's most likely next. I just don't see the ability to raise enough funds and get the site picked out and through all the planning this year. That said, if we find a spot that's universally accepted by everybody, and we're able to raise the money, and maybe the Corbett rink or the Williams rink or the Moynihan rink is able to raise sufficient funds this next few weeks, I think there's a chance we could do it this year, but it's unlikely. But as you say, if there's a chance, maybe, but it's most likely for next year, if that answers your questions.
Yeah, it does. And just to clarify, the 100 to 150 to run the electrical out, and I presume that would be whatever site, that would be a capital expense that you would raise that money. So in addition to the operating of, say, 90,000 for 3 years, another 100 and 150 that you'd have to raise to run the electrical out. Is that right?
The electrical, so if there's electricity close by a transformer, like it could be less, it could be 50,000, it could be 25,000. I said 100 up to 150 because of how far it would have to go for example, the hut. Right. And that's just kind of an educated guess based on our conversations from the past. But yes, we would raise all the money, operational and siting costs in advance before setting it up.
Hey, Tom, how many prospective venue locations have you scouted out that you think might be viable? And when you go to Parks and Rec, are you going to go with option 1, 2, 3? Are you going to prioritize them, or how's that going to play out? I mean, I know it's early in the game, but.
No, the plan is we've looked at, like I said, there's 3 locations at Kiwanis that we're kind of looking at. One on one side of the pavilion closest to Old Norwalk. one on the other side of the pavilion between the pond and the pavilion, and then on the opposite side of the pond. Those are 3 spots at Kiwanis Park that we're kind of looking at. There's at least 5 places at Waveney. One on the Water Tower 3 field. Actually, Mike Benevento suggested we look at that, so that third little field that they have already has a fence around it. And so that's one site. 2 is the outdoor, the outfield of the softball field. It already has lights. It's by the restrooms. We would look at winterizing those. The third would be by the paddle hut. The fourth could be by Lapham, behind Lapham there. And then a fifth could be the parking grading that the Tiger's doing now before putting in the asphalt. That's another possible location. Mead Park, you've got the outfield of the baseball park. The good thing about Mead is you've got the apple cart there with bathrooms. You could do the tennis courts, but that's probably unlikely at Mead. But the Hunt Club did put this mini rink on 3 of their clay tennis courts every year for 8 years, 9 years. So that's certainly an option. And then Irwin, my understanding from the last time that the reason there's no baseball there is some neighbors complained about the baseball bats, but the sound of the kids playing baseball. So I'm not sure Irwin, the neighbors would support it, but certainly we'll talk to them and see if that makes sense. But there's a flat area at Irwin there too.
Hey, Tom, I think I read that Greenwich is considering bringing in an outdoor rink as well. And there was some mention that there's going to be a provision to have skate rentals available. Is that being considered as well?
Yes, it is. In fact, assuming we raise enough money, you purchase basically skates in a trailer so that people could go in and rent skates and do that. That would be something we definitely want to do, because the open skate is actually the highest revenue generator for rinks. Believe it or not, it's not the hourly rental. It's the open skate that generates the most revenue for rinks. And we're extremely confident, based on the research that we've done, that if there's no debt service and even covering operational costs for the first 2 years, the open skate rental and the fee of $5, $6, $10 for using the open skate will definitely cover the overhead operational costs. But yes, that's important. I believe an important part of having the rink be self-sufficient.
Hey, Tom, is it true that the mayor in Greenwich said no to the rink this year because of COVID?
I'm talking to him tomorrow. So we served together up at the State House, Fred Camillo and I. So we're good friends. He has concerns about skating with COVID and the spike. I think if you wear masks, you're outside. But yes, to answer your question, he does have concerns. I'm going to talk to him about that. So maybe this year, and obviously we'll talk to the doctors and we'll follow the science. But I would remind people that I coached youth football from mid-August to late October, early November, and we had no cases from football. And in fact, on Monday Night Football last week, the NFL doctors opined. Now I haven't confirmed this, but they have found they've traced no cases arising from the football field, from youth football through pro. So we'll follow the science, and if the town bodies and the board of Selectmen don't want us to run a rink this winter, we obviously wouldn't. But and it's unlikely we're gonna get to that stage. But if we do, obviously we'll do whatever the Board of Selectmen and the town bodies want us to do. And if DPH says don't do it, if Jen says, you know, we shouldn't do an outdoor skating rink, even if we can show some ways to make it safer, then we won't.
That's helpful. Thank you. Thank you for your efforts, to bring a rink to New Canaan.
Thanks, Nick.
Kathleen, anything else?
Thank you.
This may be the longest consideration of a $2,500 transfer of funds that I've ever participated in. But good discussion. Thank you, Tom, for all your efforts. And I move we approve the request for $2,500 from the Ice Rink Special Project Fund for the purchased, not the potential purchase, it has been purchased of a 60 by 124 ice rink and related equipment and accessories from the Fairfield Hunt Club. This is not the town purchasing it. This is someone else purchasing it, I think. So.
Yep. Second here.
Second, further discussion? All right. Good luck, Tom.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you, Nick. Thank you,
Thanks
Kevin.
again.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, returning to the agenda, part-time employees. Cheryl, are you doing this?
I'm with you. So the first one is Anna Krolikowski. We had put out for a part-time administrative assistant for the building superintendent. We received over 50 resumes. Tiger and I and Bill conducted interviews, and I would like to present Anna. She has already volunteered for Human Services, Health Department, community testing. She was the town hall greeter. She worked for the food bank and EMS. She also went through Catherine Gibbs, and we do believe she would be a great fit with Bill as his administrative assistant. This is a position that is already in the budget.
So when we reopened town hall, she was the first person that you'd see going in, with all the stuff on the floor and the Purell and the masks, and she was doing that on a volunteer basis.
Any further questions for Cheryl? I move we approve the appointment, or the hire, I guess, of Anna Krolikowski as a part-time administrative assistant for the superintendent of buildings. Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
On here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next one is Scott Becker. We are looking to put him in as a residential building inspector. With Paul moving into the fire marshal's position, we have an open position. Brian would like to start on a part-time basis until we see with COVID where we're at come April. So we had met with Scott. He has his Connecticut license as a residential building inspector. He has been a contractor since 1989, extensive experience in all aspects of construction. And I think he would fit very well in our building department. So I would like to recommend Scott Becker as a part-time employee.
Questions about Scott?
On here.
We approve the hire of Scott Becker as a part-time residential building inspector. Second?
Second here.
Nick is second. Further discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Deputy building official.
Yes,
Cheryl,
the last one is John Funkfeld. He has been with the town since 2017 as a residential building inspector. We would like to promote him to a deputy building inspector. He did receive his Connecticut license as a building official while he was working for the town. And we do believe this would be a great promotion for John.
questions?
No.
I may move we approve the request from Human Resources to promote John Funkfeld from residential building inspector to deputy building inspector. Second?
Second.
Kathleen seconds. Discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
That
Thank
was-
you.
There are legal fees on the tablets to approve. Any questions about the legal fees? I move we approve the legal fees on our tablets.
Second.
Kathleen seconds. Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Tax overpayments. There's a few motor vehicle and I think one real estate tax overpayments on our tablets. Any questions about them? I move we approve the tax overpayments.
Second here.
All in favor? Okay, contracts under $10,000. There's several. Any questions about the contracts? That brings us to our last item, Selectmen's comments. And as I earlier said, we're as far as COVID goes, we're seeing a uptick, if not a spike now, in terms of the number of cases being reported for New Canaan residents. I didn't get a figure on how many negative test results we had over the weekend, but I'm sure there were ample. But that still indicates we're going in the same direction our neighbors are, and the state's over 5% positivity rate, and that's why the governor has instituted some new policies. And beyond that, we're going to continue the testing as described earlier. And any questions about COVID? I don't think I have anything else.
I don't have anything.
Nick?
I'm good.
All right, well, everyone have a great Thanksgiving, COVID Thanksgiving. Limited gatherings, and wish everyone stay safe and have a good Thanksgiving.
A motion to adjourn. We just get a motion.
I'll move.
Kathleen,
Second.
I all in favor of adjourning.
Great. Thank you.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thank
Good
you, everyone.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.